This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Good evening, you're watching NDTV with me, Rishika Barua. This is a show where we take your questions on the coronavirus. You can dial us on the number that's flashing on your screens, and we have a panel of expert doctors who will answer all those questions. Dr. Sameer Dani, the Director, Department of Cardiology of the Apollo Hospitals, is joining us on the broadcast this evening. Also, Dr. Avdesh Kumar Singh, he's a Senior Consultant Diabetes and Endocrinology from the GD Hospital and Diabetes Institute. Thank you, doctors, for sparing the time of day to be with us on the broadcast. There has been a very interesting development that has taken place today, where there is the first indication that the lockdown might be gradually eased in areas which are green zones. These are areas which have so far continued to remain coronavirus free. But what are some of the precautions that can be taken in these areas? We look to address some of those questions, as many of us and many of our viewers will also now be looking forward to gradually returning back to work. Dr. Sameer, if I could begin by asking you, what are some of the precautions that should be taken, especially now that, gradually one will see the lockdown easing up, especially in areas that have been declared green zones?
Yeah, you can, I think the same precautions which we took while there was a lockdown on, the same precautions should be taken. The social distancing may not be as harsh as lockdown, but it should be still there. Washing of hands frequently should be there. Avoid touching your face with your hands should be there. Probably wearing masks also will be a new norm.
Right.
And we should avoid congregations, large gatherings, crowded places. And all this is especially true for heart patients, for elderly.
All right.
And those patients who are compromised.
All right. Dr. Kumar, if I could bring you in, there are going to be a lot of questions. People who are in green zones, who are, gradually as industry opens up and people start going back to work, there are going to be inhibitions about, whether one can use public transport, or public transport, might be opened in some restricted areas. What are the do's and don'ts? What do people who step out and go to work, what are the kind of precautions that those people should be taking, especially if they have, elderly people or children at home?
Yeah, so that's a very difficult situation, we need to look into. As Dr. Dani said, all precautions has to be at place, despite, even partial lockdown is over and people have started, going into places. I still feel that the common mass of transportation still should be, very well reserved.
Right.
Unless or until you have absolute precaution in your hand, I don't think still we are in a position right now. Why I'm saying it that, to my knowledge, we have not still reached to the peak.
Right.
Although, these data are still fluctuating.
Yes.
But I still feel that we are yet to achieve the peak. And this, the simple epidemiological formula suggests that unless you have not crossed the peak, do not, loosen your grip.
Right.
Now it looks like that we are going to lose some grip.
Yes.
And as Dr. Dani said, that people are going to move, from here to there. We have to be very careful.
Right.
Perhaps we might feel a rapid surge of COVID-19 in the next,
Right.
couple of weeks.
And of course, doctor, I do also want to clarify here that this is just, there's nothing to this effect which is out in writing, but the indication that one gets after the Prime Minister's virtual meeting with Chief Ministers is that there's a possibility of restrictions being eased only in green zones, only in areas where there are no cases of the coronavirus. So I just want to lay that out as a disclaimer. But our first caller, Atul from Pune, is dialing in. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Hi, my name is Atul, and hello to everyone on the panel there. My question is more about the epidemics that we are into right now. What is the reason that we have a very low number of deaths in India? Is it our immunity? Is it the less contact that we have with the outsiders? Or what could be the reason that, when you compare it with the rest of the countries in the world, the number of deaths that we have is limited and it is very less for a population?
Very interesting question there, Atul. Let me take that to Dr. Dani. Doctor, would you like to answer that? India is seeing a relatively lower death rate as compared to a lot of other countries. If you compare us to Italy or you compare us to the US, for instance, we're seeing a much lower death rate. What explains that?
Yeah. See, it is very puzzling, very interesting question, and whatever I answer, at best, it will be a hypothesis. The fact is that there is a low death rate, and low death rate can be explained not by one factor, that is by immunity or just by our country being hot. There could be several factors, and there could be several factors which we can guess right now, and there may be several other factors which are beyond our knowledge right now.
Right.
So one of the factor could be the innate immunity. The second factor could be that the transmission in hot places may be little low, though this has not been proven. This is again a conjecture. Then third factor could be that the strain in India may be little less virulent than the strain prevalent in Wuhan and New York, Italy. This is to some extent this is getting studied, and relatively I think that we have acted reasonably early, and that has also helped.
You could in a certain sense say that implementing the lockdown at an early stage could have also prevented a surge of cases, especially those who have predisposed conditions. Our next caller, Rama Rao, is on the phone line from Hyderabad. Go ahead.
Good evening, madam.
Good evening. Ask your question.
My question is, so far India reported 800 plus deaths, COVID-19 deaths. Everybody is having own doubt. What are the do's and don'ts while going for funeral formalities, irrespective of the religion? Every religion have their own formalities. What are general do's and don'ts or precautions?
All right, Dr. Singh, I think, this is exactly the kind of question that I had asked at the very beginning of the broadcast. What are the do's and don'ts as we go about, with whatever limited movement is permitted at the moment, even if it is people living in, areas where you can only step out for your essentials? What are some of the big do's and don'ts?
Yeah, so we have already discussed about, and we are discussing for last 1.5 months. The gentleman, the questions was something different. I think he asked that, what kind of precaution one should maintain while you are, going for a funeral, or you are going for a burial for someone who is dead and had COVID-19. And that's a very tricky question. We saw what happened with one doctor, who died, and colleagues has to face a lot of issues. So the exact rule is, that the rule of, simple rule, what I feel is that at any circumstances, at any cost, if the people are, gathering, whether it is marriage ceremony or a funeral ceremony, one has to be absolutely careful for all those do's and don'ts. There is nothing new formula, whether you are going to a marriage ceremony or you are attending a, funeral. Right. The rules applies same to everywhere.
The rules are the same. So,
absolutely. And I would like to just add one point, Kritika, from the Dr. Dani. That was a very interesting question. Someone asked earlier that why the number of deaths is little bit lesser. I mean, I would say relatively lesser in India compared to the other part of the world. As Dr. Dani said, everything is a conjecture. We don't know. But what I feel as a scientist could be the main reason is, apart from what Dr. Dani said, the first and foremost reason was the early lockdown. The second one is what we need to understand, that the 70% of the population in India contributed by the adult population, young adult population, as compared to 70% of population in Italy. So once you have got elderly population, you tend to have a higher death.
Right.
And this is one, so
obviously the demographic, the demographic distribution could have also, played a role there. Our next caller, Sugani, is calling from Trichy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to know only one thing, doctor. Do you think this lockdown is going to reduce the rate? I don't think so, because after lockdown, the people who are vacating from one area to another, they are not all are living in their own hometowns. Anyway, they are going to go. So these lockdowns, after this lockdowns only, you will know the exact picture, all these pop-up which is coming up right now.
Right.
I think so it is not going to be the exact one.
Dr. Dani, would you like to take that on? There has been this question that's come up multiple times that, with this lockdown in place, are we only delaying the onslaught of the infection, so to speak? There are obviously inhibitions, even with the gradual lifting of the lockdown, as essential as it may be.
Yes, there are two major benefits of a lockdown. One, you are delaying the onslaught of the disease, and by which you are preparing your hospitals. You are not flooding your hospital beds with suddenly so many sick patients. Right. That is one. And second is, you are delaying the peak and you are flattening the curve. You are spreading out the infected cases by doing a lockdown, and that is probably one of the biggest advantage of a lockdown. You are very right that people migrating from one city to another or going back to their rural places or villages is a confounder. It is something which will change the predictions of a lockdown.
Yes.
But in spite of all that, I still believe that lockdown is the only effective way for the government.
All right. So lockdown is the only effective way, and very interesting because both doctors on the broadcast have reiterated that the rules that apply during a lockdown should apply even after, especially when it comes to your own safety and the kind of precautions that you can take. Dr. Singh, would you like to add anything? There are inhibitions associated with the gradual lifting of the lockdown, especially with migration of people from one part to another. They could be carriers of infection. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, so I absolutely agree with what Dr. Dani said. I just would like to add that see, we can understand the plight of the people who have been stuck somewhere, or our daily wages earners were not able to go into their work and they're losing their jobs and daily earning. But at the end of day, ultimately human has to survive. We might delay our work for some part of the time. Everyone is facing a lot of difficulties, but then no economy can bring back a life of a human. That one has to realize. And because we don't have any modalities of treatment which is found to be effective.
That's the important point, that there isn't a definitive treatment or a vaccine that is out in the market yet, which could, perhaps aid in the more effective opening up. Yes. Our next caller, Achint Yadav, is on the phone line from Raebareli. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, hello. Go ahead.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir. Ask your question.
Yes. My question is related to whether this novel coronavirus and human can be infected by other sources like animal or insects.
All right. Dr. Dani, would you like to take that on? There have been questions earlier as well.
Yes, we do not know a lot about this particular strain, this novel coronavirus, because it has come from animals, and that is why it is so new to us. So yes, obviously animals can infect us, but only certain type of animals which are reservoirs for this virus, which are carriers for this virus. Luckily for us, our domesticated animals, including the pets, do not seem to be the reservoir for this virus. So it doesn't seem right now that the cats and dogs and our other pets, our domesticated animals, can infect us.
Right. So very important point there, people ought not to fear their own pets. There were cases of people abandoning pet animals living in their homes because they were fearing that animals could be carriers, but there is no evidence to suggest that domesticated animals, pet animals who live in your homes could in fact be carriers. Dr. Singh, there were questions asked earlier as well on the broadcast about, taking prevention against mosquitoes, or flies. Could mosquitoes or flies be carriers of the coronavirus?
No, absolutely no. I think one has to be very clear about, the viral dynamics. First of all, whether you talk about COVID-19 or in past we had, in Saudi Arabia in 2012 we had MERS-CoV. Right. In 2004 we had SARS-CoV-1. And in 2009 we had swine influenza's epidemic. Yes. So what we have learned that human being is a tertiary host. We need to remember that the bats are the natural reservoir, and even bat cannot directly involve the human being. There has to be secondary host. For example, COVID-19, we had a pangolin as a secondary host. For MERS-CoV, we had camel as a secondary host. Now it is very difficult in epidemiology to reverse the dynamics. So it is very unlikely to have a pets, as Dr. Dani said, or about mosquito and hospitalized. No science is attached with this.
Okay, Sai Prasad, our next caller is on the phone line from Hyderabad. Go ahead.
Yeah, sir. Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Sir, here we compare to other countries that tested, we have less people, but the US government is very strict that they are caring for the people for testing. They have tested more than 50 lakhs people, but in India there are 5 lakhs people. The US government population is.
All right. Could you ask your question, Mr. Prasad, please?
Yeah, that is only my question. The testing of the
are
people
we testing
is
enough?
less.
Okay, Dr. Singh, you were talking about it earlier as well. Are we testing enough? There are questions around how many people India is actually testing.
Yeah, see, no question of denying the fact that we are testing less. Absolutely. So this is a very valid question. We need to ramp up the number of testing which is happening. I am still not happy with the the rate of testing is going right now. We need to ramp up very soon. See, we had 40 days time of lockup or lockdown, whatever you say. This was the high time where we would have ramped up our testing, and by this time we would have detected the maximum number of cases.
India is testing less. Our next caller, Manish, is on the phone line from Ahmedabad. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Manish Kedia. Ma'am, my question is to doctors that if coronavirus can survive in water, if yes, then a person working in municipal corporation who is handling the daily water supply, if he is infected with coronavirus, can he infect others also through that water? Because we are taking a shower, we are using that water.
Dr. Dani, what about water as a carrier, and should people be worried about the water that's flowing through their taps?
No, coronavirus is not a waterborne disease. Okay, so coronavirus does not survive for very long in water. So don't worry about taking a shower or drinking a properly disinfected water.
Right.
So don't worry about that.
Okay, so water is not a carrier, so you needn't worry about the water that is flowing through your taps. Our next caller, Sudeep, is on the phone line from Kolkata. Go ahead.
Yeah, my question is, as Manish asked, I had the same question, like water, nobody is talking about water contamination as of now. And my other question is that is the lockdown only thing which is going to sort out our issues and not the testing part, which is still not being, I mean, in India we are not able to, test to that level of testing.
Dr. Kumar has touched on that a little bit. Dr. Dani, would you like to add anything about whether we're testing enough? Dr. Kumar does say that, India does need to test much more than what we are currently.
See, there are two ways of looking at it. Yes, we need to test more if we have the resources, if we have the money and the finances to do that. We should be doing that. But at the same time, I don't think that we are not testing at all. We are doing a little different. We have adopted a little different strategy.
Right.
So we are testing those high-risk people. We are testing more in the hot spots. We are not testing the population at random like many other Western countries have done, like even South Korea has done. See, there are two ways of tackling it. You test everybody, and whosoever is positive, you quarantine them. Either self-isolate them at their home or in some government-approved facility or in the hospital if they're sick. That is one way of handling the epidemic.
All right.
There is another way also, and that is incident to this testing. You introduce early lockdown.
Okay.
So when the early caller told us that US is preferring people, I would say exactly the opposite. In fact, US introduced lockdown very, very late.
Yes.
They preferred economy.
Our next caller, Satish Kumar, is calling from Delhi. Go ahead.
Good evening, Doctor. Good evening, Rishika. I am Satish from Bangalore. Basically, I'm from Bangalore, but right now I'm in Delhi in my father-in-law and mother-in-law's place. Both are aged around 75 to 80 years. I need a few tips from the doctors. What are the precautions they can take at this juncture.
All right. Dr. Avdesh, would you like to take that on? Precautions for the elderly?
Yeah, so see what we have learned through the data from the world, that elderly populations are always at higher risk. And you know, this is not new for COVID-19. It happened in the past epidemics as well. As we all know that elderly populations are more susceptible to, contract any kind of viral, bacterial or fungal disease.
Yes.
There is nothing new with the COVID-19 that, COVID-19 are elderly are being more infected by the COVID-19. In general, elderly population suffers from a number of comorbidities,
yes.
Like high blood pressure, diabetes, cardiovascular disease.
Right.
At the top of that, with the lunging immunity, which is, gradually deteriorating
yes.
over as the age
Doctor,
infuses.
any particular precaution?
Yeah, so the precaution would be, like that. Elderly population should have an extra precaution.
Right.
They should not be indulging going outside the home. I mean, absolutely meaning of lockdown is actually much more,
right.
associated
so all
with elderly
precautions that are taken normally, I think they're have to be taken at a more enhanced level, especially when you have elderly people at home. We have time for a final caller. Jyotirmay is calling from Pune. Go ahead.
Good evening. This is Jyotirmay. I have a question. Okay, before I put up my question, thank you, NDTV. This is my second time that you have given me an opportunity to speak. My father had gone to a state for submitting his, yearly, which is.
Right. Can you ask your question, Jyotirmay?
Yeah, the question is. Oh, sorry. I thought I was not audible. My question was that people are out of their homes. Okay, they have got stuck up. They have gone. I mean, we can see the plight of the migrant workers. My father has been out since 22nd.
Right. What's your question?
The question is, how is this lockdown going to, help the people who are stuck?
All right, we have time for a very quick answer, Dr. Dani. What about people who are not at home, people who don't have the luxury of being home, migrants stranded elsewhere? Any advice for them?
Yeah, they should try to do the same thing where they are, where they would what they would practice at home. So if they are at a relative's place or they are stuck up, it's best in their interest not to travel.
So the same rules apply and avoid travel. That's very interesting because
avoid traveling, stay there and do the social distancing and everything. And I want to add a couple of very quick things to the earlier question. My advice to elderly would be that 4 things. Don't panic. Take the precautions even when the lockdown is eased. Maintain the social distancing. Stay connected to your friends and relatives to the telecommunication. Don't go to meet them very frequently. Don't go to meet them. Put on mask, everybody, when they are in near proximity.
I'm afraid, Doctor, we're completely out of time.
Improve immunity. Most important message is that, see, we are talking about how not to contract corona.
Okay, I think that's a great note to end on, that you have to, at the end of the day, improve your immunity, because prevention, of course, to the disease is better than cure. Appreciate you, doctors, for sparing the time and being with us on the broadcast. That's all we have time for on the show this evening. Thank you for watching.